President Trump and Vladimir Putin pursued peace in Ukraine yesterday, and they made huge progress. They agreed on major issues, but now must sell it to Ukraine, UK, European, and deep state allies here who want more war. Now, if you read or listen to the media, you might think the evil and diabolical Putin rolled Trump, or the meeting was a failure, but Trump is rolling over them. He will be discussing a comprehensive peace plan with Zelensky when Zelensky comes to Washington Monday. That's not the temporary ceasefire NATO wanted. I'm Barbara Boyd. I've been studying Russiagate and the hoax against Donald Trump, our country, and the world's citizens since 2016. Today, I'll give you my take on the summit. Then I'm going to show you what a new U.S.-Russia relationship might look like. Finally, I'm going to talk about the Russiagate hoax and how it's finally falling apart and what that means for all of us. But before we dig in, if you like these videos and you follow us, please go to the Promethean Action website at this point and subscribe to our newsletter. For me, the first stunner from Friday was both Putin and Trump saying that the Ukraine war happened because of Russiagate and Joe Biden. Because the American people demanded that the war end in the election of 2024, and President Trump promised to deliver that, we finally reached the place where that war can end. But it will only happen if the criminals who created the Russiagate hoax in London, in Washington, in Kiev, and in Brussels are held to account. Here is President Trump describing how Russiagate destroyed U.S.-Russian relations in his first term.
We were getting along. We were doing fine. We have tremendous potential. You know, Russia has very valuable land. We have tremendous potential to have a great relationship, a great business relationship. But we couldn't do it because of the crooked, demented people that created the phony Russia, Russia, Russia. And I told him, I said, you know, Vladimir, there's no way we're going to make a deal. You know that. He said, well, I think it's going to be tough. I said, no, not tough. It's impossible. Because I have wise guys that created a phony deal. And until that's settled up, that was the hoax, the big hoax, the greatest, well, one of the greatest hoax.
Now here's what Vladimir Putin said yesterday about Joe Biden.
During my final contacts with the previous administration, I tried to convince my previous American counterpart, President Biden, that we needn't move towards a situation which could lead to a military confrontation. I told him before that that would be a critical mistake. And now President Trump, when he says that if he were president, there would be no war. And I personally believe that is the case. There would be no war had President Trump been president at that time. Because myself and President Trump have had very good trust-based relations, and I'm confident that if we had stayed on that path, we could move as quickly as possible to a resolution of the conflict in Ukraine. Thank you for your attention.
The ceremony welcoming Putin was awesome, with the B-2 flyover and Putin riding in the president's limo, the Beast, to the meeting. In his closing speech, President Putin gave a bit of a history lesson about Alaska's prior Russian owners and its role in supplying the U.S. military in World War II. He highlighted new economic relations involving mining, space exploration, and development of the Arctic. His advisor, Kirill Dmitriev, confirmed that a Bering Strait crossing between the United States and Russia is being worked on. My take: Trump and Putin agree on the Ukraine war settlement terms, but they still face opposition from Zelensky, the British, and their European friends, as well as the traitors behind Russiagate here. More than 69% of the people of Ukraine now want an end to the war, with only 24% favoring further conflict. That's a recent poll from Gallup. Russia is making daily breakthroughs and will soon achieve its military objectives. The UK and Europeans, their populations hate their guts and would defeat all of them if elections were held tomorrow. So they only have bad cards to play, but those cards include false flag terrorist attacks and assassinations. President Trump keeps saying that a good security and economic relationship between the two world's premier nuclear powers is the biggest peace prize. Over the centuries, the British Empire has constantly sought to dismember Russia. It's part of their plan to grab and loot all of Eurasia. I recommend the author Richard Poe and his book, How the British Invented Communism and Blamed It on the Jews. He says that even the Russian Revolution was part of this British plan. Nobody knows or remembers that Russia was our ally in the Revolution, the Civil War, and in World War II. We had a fantastic 100-year centennial exposition in Philadelphia in 1876. The Russian scientist Dmitry Mendeleev and numerous representatives of Bismarck's Germany came. They were blown away by the display of American inventions, industrial machinery, and productive might. They went home determined to develop their own economies with American methods. The British responded by attempting to destroy both countries in 2 world wars. Now, Presidents Trump and Putin are reviving a great alliance. Russia, the largest country in the world, has huge undeveloped raw material wealth. It has deep scientific and engineering expertise. They are space explorers and adventurers set on mining and developing the Arctic. If we create a land transportation route stretching from Alaska and North Canada through the Arctic to Europe, expensive sea travel would no longer be necessary for trade. I think there could be no more fitting celebration of our 250th anniversary than to realize the dreams of Mendeleev and Bismarck in freeing human beings from the British Empire once and for all. Now, the ongoing Russiagate revelations from Tulsi Gabbard, the DOJ, and Senator Grassley prove that Russiagate was kept alive during Trump's entire first term to sabotage both Trump and Putin. Everyone knew it was fake at the time it was launched in 2016. But former DNI Clapper made his confession in an email Tulsi Gabbard just released. He said, "This is our story and we're sticking to it, no matter if it's fake." And stick to it they did. The fake Robert Mueller investigation followed, bankrupting and jailing innocents and poisoning the courts. Trump was impeached by the House because he questioned the Ukraine war buildup and Joe Biden's corrupt dealings there. The George Floyd insurrection, COVID, and the rigged 2020 election, along with mass censorship, followed. The dual psychotic disorders of Trump derangement syndrome and Putin derangement syndrome thoroughly infected our elites. You can show that the Ukraine war was originated in the sick imperial mind of Dick Cheney. He wanted to dismember Russia after the Berlin Wall fell and loot Eurasia. His 1992 defense planning guidance called for war against anyone who might challenge American supremacy. That's how we became the world's policeman, a stupid rule making our claimed military chops a substitute for the industry and culture we lost. Now Donald Trump is reversing all of it, and the chickens are coming home to roost on our nation's traitors. So this is an urgent moment. We have a real chance for peace, a real chance to honor the intentions of our forefathers to build that city on the hill, a temple of hope and liberty for the world. But we won't get there if citizens don't get in the fight now. This week, your congressmen and senators are at home. Make it a point to contact them and tell them you support ending the Ukraine war now. No more blood, no more compromises. Help us mobilize support for prosecution of the Russiagate criminals, which is essential to make this peace happen, by going to the Promethean Action website and contributing as much as you feasibly can. I'll see you again on Monday.
Thanks for watching. Please take a moment and subscribe to our free newsletter at prometheanaction.com.